All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Welcome back to the show, folks. Today we are doing a special early morning broadcast. It is 9:45 on the U.S. West Coast. What does that make it? Noon 43, something like that on the U.S. East Coast. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Now, today something weird is kind of going on. Noon 43. I'm making sure we're not echoing. We are echoing. Okay, folks, I'm sorry. Today we're having maybe some weird technical difficulties, and I'm not exactly sure why. I think right now we are live in 2 different Rumble locations. I'm not sure why. I think we're good on YouTube. I think everything is fine enough now. Hey, if you are tuning in on Rumble, please make sure to just go to whatever Rumble stream has the most viewers, I guess. We are live on 2 different locations on Rumble, and I don't know why. Are we still echoing? I don't think we should be. We're good now. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going live early today because President Trump's press secretary, her name is Carolyn Leavitt, is going to be making a special announcement today. They're having a press briefing in just 16 minutes. I'm sorry, folks. We had some weird tech difficulties today, but thank you all for bearing with me. We're off to a weird start today, but today is going to be a big day because not only in 15 minutes are we going to have Carolyn Leavitt, maybe President Trump, maybe some other members of Trump's cabinet are going to be coming out and talking about this big announcement, but also something very curious. Later today, this is at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Western, President Trump is going to be making a proclamation in the Oval Office. Now, I've done my best. I've looked around. What are we talking about today? I don't know. Nobody on the face of the earth seems to know what is this proclamation that Trump is going to be making in the Oval Office. This is not right now. This is a couple hours from now. But I think Carolyn Leavitt is going to probably talk about the proclamation and tell us what this proclamation is. And so real quick, total forewarning, I think today what I'm going to do, today is going to be a crazy day. What I'm going to do is we're going to cover Carolyn Leavitt press briefing now, 15 minutes from now, whenever she comes on out very soon. We're going to cover that news. Then I'm going to go offline, take a 2 or 3 hour break, and then come back and then cover President Trump's Oval Office proclamation live with you again. So folks, today we're going to do something absolutely insane. Today, there's going to be not 1, but 2 live broadcasts in the same day. This one here, and then the second one a couple hours from now when we're talking about the proclamation. But I think right now, soon in 14 minutes, Carolyn Leavitt, I think, is going to be at least kind of letting us know what this proclamation is going to be about. Plus, there's a lot of other news that I would assume we're going to be talking about at this press conference today. And so I want to really break down what we might be talking about today, because once again, whenever they do this kind of stuff, they don't really let us know in advance, but we can kind of speculate. So first off, this news has been going viral for the last probably 4 or 5 hours. Joe Biden's final flop, 911,000 fewer jobs than reported in the final year of Joe Biden's presidency. So this is just absolutely astounding. I believe it's the U.S. Department of Labor that came out today and said, actually, no, I'm sorry, it's the Bureau of Labor Statistics, came out today, a couple hours ago, earlier this morning, and said, hey, listen, 911,000 of the jobs that we reported last year that Joe Biden created in the final term, in the final year of his term, actually those jobs were never created. Those jobs were just totally imaginary. They were never created at all. And so it does kind of bring into question if every couple months we are getting corrections, massive corrections. We just got a couple corrections about President Trump's job performance so far. They corrected some numbers up. They corrected other numbers down. This is for President Trump. Then today, we just got a massive correction for the final year of Joe Biden. 911,000 jobs, too many that didn't even exist. It's like, what is even the point of these Bureau of Labor Statistics numbers if every couple months they have to come out and correct them to the tune of several 100,000? What is even the point of these numbers? Can we even trust any numbers whatsoever that are coming out of the Bureau of Labor Statistics? The BLS said payrolls will likely be revised down by 911,000 jobs, or 0.6%. That reduces the total employment gains for the 12 months ending in March to about 850,000 compared to the 1.8 million that were originally reported during the end of Joe Biden's presidency. The downward adjustment hits nearly every industry and most states. So remember how we were being told for a solid 2 years that Joe Biden's economy was awesome. It was on fire. Coming out of COVID, Joe Biden, he saved the economy. The economy was on fire. Jobs are being created. Inflation, who cares? It doesn't matter. It's not really that bad. You know, there was even a point when they lied about the fact that we were in a recession. Did you guys know that? We were, terminologically, textbook definition, we were in a recession for several months during the Joe Biden presidency. What is the definition of a recession? More than 2 consecutive financial quarters, there's 4 quarters in a year, more than 2 quarters of negative economic growth. Well, that threshold was met about halfway through Joe Biden's presidency. You know what they did? They just redefined what a recession is. They just changed the definition of recession. That's what they did. Absolutely insane. So we had a recession during Joe Biden. All the jobs numbers are fake to the tune of 911,000. It's absolutely insane. So we're probably going to be talking about this news today. And by the way, there's more stuff, but I want to say real quick, we got off to kind of a rocky start with today's show. So once again, I do want to say thank you, everybody. If you are new here to today's broadcast, please make sure to subscribe and like and follow everything. We're live on Rumble right now, Matt Morris TV. We are live on YouTube right now, Matt Morris TV. Everybody, thank you. It is a lovely Tuesday morning. It is September 9th. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Now, another story that everybody's talking about, still, this news broke a couple days ago. Still, we are talking about this brutal, terrible stabbing, this brutal murder that took place on this train, this subway train in Charlotte. Now the Charlotte mayor is getting slammed over her comments after this woman, this terrible situation, this woman was stabbed to death on the train. President Trump issued a statement about this the other day. Maybe we can find that here. Charlotte Mayor V. Lyles, a Democrat, is facing criticism over her response to the killing of Ukrainian refugee Irina Zarutska. This is one of the worst, just absolutely brutal. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you guys saw this. Now audio has leaked out. The stabber, this individual here who just stabbed this woman in cold blood, now we have audio. More footage has come out. He was saying, and I quote, "I just got that white woman. I just stabbed that white woman." As moments after he stabbed her to death, we have more footage that's come out from inside of the train as blood is dripping from his knife, and he's saying, "Man, I just got that white woman. Yeah, I got that white woman." So for everybody that's trying to say that this was not a racially motivated murder, this had nothing to do with race, listen, you might be racially blind. You might say, well, I don't see race. Guess what? Race sees you. Okay? This guy killed this woman explicitly because she was white. Because she was white. You can say race, I don't see it. Listen, it sees you. So that's where so you want to call it a hate crime? I don't know what you want to call it, but anyway, totally just disgusting and reprehensible is what it is. It was a racially motivated attack. It absolutely was. As it would turn out, it was more dangerous to be on this train in Charlotte than it was to be in a war zone in Eastern Europe. Absolutely insane. In a statement sent by Lyle's representative to WCNC Charlotte, the news station, the mayor started out by offering thoughts and prayers to Zarutska's family before discussing possible mental health issues for the suspect, DeCarlos Brown, a felon with a lengthy criminal record. This guy has been taken into jail. He's been let out of jail numerous times. He has a violent criminal history. He's been attacking people, battering people, assaulting people for 2 decades, for 18 years, since 2007, ever since he was a juvenile. He's been doing exactly this, behaving in this exact way for almost 2 decades, and he is still free to roam the public, and now he's just killing people, innocent people. So anyway, we've talked about this story a lot. We will probably talk about this story today, or rather Carolyn Levitt We'll probably talk about this story today. Sorry, folks. There's somebody outside trimming my hedges. We are probably going to hear about this story today because President Trump was talking about this. He was posting on Truth Social about this. Man, today really is just a weird day. Today's kind of a weird vibe day. Anyway, I want to say, considering the weird vibes, I want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate it, folks. Thank you very much. And then another story that's been going viral today is the fact that Israel carried out a targeted strike in Qatar, Doha, the capital of Qatar. Some people say Qatar. I say Qatar. I don't really care. Anyway, Israel carried out a targeted strike in Qatar just a couple hours ago, earlier this morning. And the reason why is because allegedly there were several leaders of Hamas that have been living or taking refuge in Qatar. Qatar has been kind of, I suppose you could call it, a sanctuary nation for a handful of Hamas leaders, and they've been kind of calling the shots remotely. And so Israel went ahead and carried out a targeted strike. Israel carried out a surprise airstrike on Hamas leaders in Doha, Qatar on Tuesday, taking aim at terrorist billionaires long sheltered by a country that is considered a strong U.S. ally and where the U.S. has an airbase. Now, I have to remember something President Trump said 2 days ago. President Trump, actually 2 days ago, maybe I could pull up the clip here. He said, "We are on the cusp of reaching a peace deal with Hamas." Trump said that 2 days ago, that he is on the cusp. He's negotiating with Hamas. He's negotiating with Israel. We are on the cusp of a total de-escalation here. Trump said that 2 days ago. And so and I'm just listening to what Trump is saying here. If Trump says that we're on the cusp of a peace deal with Hamas, we're going to release the hostages, we're going to have a ceasefire on the Gaza Strip, to me, I don't know, hey, listen, I'm not directly involved. It seems a little bit counterintuitive for Israel to blow up a bunch of the Hamas leadership in Qatar if Trump 2 days ago is saying that they're on the cusp of a peace deal. That seems like the thing that you would probably not do if you're on the cusp of a peace deal. And by the way, that's Trump himself that was saying that 2 days ago. So it's hard to make sense of the entire situation, but all I can do is trust my president. Trump himself said that 2 days ago. So, this is why I'm hoping today that we're going to get a little bit more clarification or insight into what exactly is going on here. Because like I said, in 4 minutes, actually, President Trump's press secretary, Carolyn Levitt, is going to be coming out and letting us know, giving us information into this entire situation. I see in the live chat, you can't make a peace deal with them. Well, says you, but you're not the guy in the White House. I didn't vote for you to be president. I voted for Trump to be president. I have faith that President Trump has the information. He's got the negotiators. I have faith in President Trump to work out the deal. I don't have faith in you to work out the deal. If President Trump tells me 2 days ago that he's on the cusp of a peace deal with Qatar and he's going to get the hostages out, then I got to go with him. I'm not going to listen to you. No offense, but I voted for Trump. And so I think maybe he's going to be able to figure this out. So we got to see. So hopefully we're going to get some more clarification here. Hopefully. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull up the official White House YouTube. Oh, right here. Okay. So here we go. So she's going to come on out here any minute. And she's going to let us know. We have all types of topics that are kind of underway here that we're going to be talking about today. And so we got to see. There's a lot going on. Listen, we're living in very busy times. We're living in busy times. There's a lot that's unfolding. And once again, hey, I do want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. Like I said, today we're going to have, I think, 2 live broadcasts. However, I'm thinking about my daily schedule here. You know what that means? I think we're probably not going to have a video. Maybe there's no video today. It's just going to be 2 live broadcasts. There's only so much time in the day. Maybe it's fine. It is what it is. Thank you all very much. Now, somebody else in the live chat here says, maybe we're going to have alien disclosure. Do you really think that Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt is going to come on out and disclose the existence of aliens today? I think probably not. I would speculate not. But hey, you know what? You never know. You never know. Yeah, no, we have 4,300 people watching on a lovely Tuesday morning. Thank you all once again. You know, whenever the White House or Trump or Carolyn Levitt, whenever they're doing these live events, Sometimes they're behind schedule. Sometimes we kind of have to wait for them. They're not waiting for us. We're waiting for them. So whenever we do these live news coverage events like this that we're doing today, I really do appreciate everybody's patience. I appreciate you guys that are tuning in and kind of bearing with the schedule here, because some days they can be just a couple minutes behind schedule, but you know, that's the way that it goes. That's the way it is. Now, I'll go ahead and show you guys today's schedule. So this is where we are right now. Press briefing by the White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt. That is what we are waiting right now in the James S. Brady press briefing room. And we are in the room right now, ladies and gentlemen. We're looking at it. And so we're tuning in. And then, seems like 3.5 hours later, President Trump is going to come out in the Oval Office, and he's going to announce, he's going to make this big national proclamation. Now, like I said, nobody has any idea what this proclamation is. What is President Trump going to proclaim about 3.5 hours from now? I really, before I went live with today's broadcast, I was looking around. I was asking, hey, I said, hey, does anybody know what the proclamation is? Nobody has any idea. So hopefully Carolyn Leavitt here in the next 1 or 2 minutes is going to come on out and maybe give us some insight into what this proclamation is going to be. But I'll tell you what, folks. I've been looking at this schedule every single day. I wake up. This is the first thing I do. I'm laying in bed. I'm on my cell phone, and I'm looking. All right, what is Trump doing today? Press conference, Oval Office. This. I'll tell you what. I've been looking at this website, this schedule every day for months now, for years. I've never seen this. I've never seen the president signs a proclamation. I've never seen this before. So I'm letting you know, this is a little bit different. Something special, abnormal. Something abnormal is going on today. And I'm not exactly sure what. But you know we're going to be here together. We're going to be talking about it. So thank you all very much for tuning in. A proclamation of, I don't know. Now, there was a super chat, and I'm the rudest man in the world. I missed it, and now I don't know how to find it. I want to say I apologize. There was a $10 super chat and I missed it. If that was you, I want to say thank you very much. I don't have a way that I can go back and see that. I was too busy yapping, and now there's not a way I can go back and see that. So I really, sincerely, I apologize. I do apologize. I'm sorry that I missed that, and thank you very much. I really do. I'm sorry. It's only up there for so long and I missed it. I am the worst live broadcaster in the entire world. I apologize. Thank you very much, though. Really, sincerely, thank you. Thank you very much. Right now, we are live on Rumble, Matt Morse TV, and on YouTube, Matt Morse TV. Do we own Greenland yet? You know, hey, I'm not opposed to working out a deal with Greenland. I wish we would. I think Greenland should be not a state, but a U.S. territory, similar to maybe Puerto Rico. You know, they're not a state. They are a territory. And I think that's probably a good dynamic for Greenland. I think we should apprehend Greenland. Now, I'm not saying that we should invade Greenland. I'm not saying we should use our military might. But, you know, yeah, if we can work out a mutually beneficial deal to incorporate them in some way, I think that's not a bad idea. I think it's a good idea. Now, I want to take a look. Here is a super chat that I'm not going to miss. Heading to Troutdale, Oregon. Grr. I was in Troutdale, Oregon about a week and a half ago. I drove through. In fact, I got breakfast in Troutdale about a week and a half ago when I was making my big move over here to Idaho. I got to say, recently we have moved to North Idaho, and man, I love it. I've never been happier than living in North Idaho. Yesterday, my wife and kids and I, we went and bought a TV at Costco, and one of the guys working at Costco, he came up and he said, "Hey, are you that guy on YouTube?" I said, "Yeah." He was a very nice guy. I ended up talking to this guy at Costco for about a half hour. Literally a half hour in the middle of Costco. This guy was super nice. He loved the show. So hey, if that was you, I guess I'm not gonna out you. I'm not gonna say your name. But hey, if that was you, shout out. You're a very nice guy. It was nice to see you. I guess, hey, listen, if you ever see me in real life, you can come up and say hi. I don't bite. I'm not really that mean. Maybe I'm a little bit mean sometimes, but I'm not. It's not that bad. But anyway, hey, thank you everybody for tuning in. Any minute now, Carolyn Leavitt is going to come on out and she's going to let us know what is going on in this nation. What is going on? What is going on? Did I see the new military footage of a UFO that just got released? No, I did not. I did not see that. Maybe I'll try to find that later today. We can talk about that at some point. I'll take a look. I have to be honest though, I'm really not that into aliens. I know some people are really into it, UFOs and aliens. I'm not really that into it. Now, if you want to talk about Bigfoot, okay, I'll talk about Bigfoot with you guys for hours. But I'm really, frankly, I'm not that big of an alien guy. I am a Bigfoot guy. We can talk about Bigfoot all you want, though. But no, I haven't. I will look into that. I haven't seen that though. I haven't seen that. In what area? We are in the Coeur d'Alene area. I'm not going to give you my exact address, but no, we're in the Coeur d'Alene area, approximate area. I'll take a look over here. Is Idaho a 2A state? Yes, Idaho is a big time Second Amendment state, big time. Idaho is very very red, very conservative. In fact, I think if you actually take a look at the voting patterns, Idaho might be the second or third most conservative state in the nation. I think, as far as I know, the single most conservative state is Wyoming, actually. Wyoming. I think Idaho is second or third, though. It's pretty... Idaho is pretty red, deep red. Not a lot of blue over here. Now, I see this question about Sandpoint, Idaho. You know, I've never been up to Sandpoint. I've not been up there yet. But someday I will. Folks, if you're tuning in right now, we are waiting for President Trump's press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt. She's going to come on out here any minute. You can see the White House press corps. They are ready to go. This is, what is her name? Why am I blanking on her? She's a representative from CNN. I'm blanking on her name right there. There she is. Nobody likes her. You know what I realized? I haven't even had my cup of coffee today. We're getting going so early today. I never had any coffee. That's probably why my brain is not working right now. So I apologize, folks. Now I see this. I'm not going to miss this super chat over here on YouTube. This is from Rocks and Cows. He says, I love Matt Morris as much as a straight man can love another straight man. You've maximized out as much love without it being gay. You know what? Hey, I reciprocate that. I reciprocate that very non-gay love back onto all of you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Hey, back at you. Yeah, Caitlin Collins. That's right. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Listen, folks, I need to apologize. Hey, I'm just not on point today. Okay, some days I come in here, I'm on point. I don't know what's wrong. Maybe I got a bad night of sleep. I don't know. Admittedly, I'm not on point today. Okay, we're gonna have to make do. You guys are gonna have to make do. I'm operating at maybe 75 capacity today. Some days I come in here, I'm at 110%. Today I'm maybe at 50, 80, maybe 75. I don't know, somewhere in there. We got to make do. Anyway, thank you guys. Now, there is a massive super chat from Ray. That's a $50 super chat from Ray. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much over here on YouTube. That means a lot. That's a big deal. Thank you very much. That is a big one. Thank you very much. Goes a long way. Thank you. Last night at Costco, we bought a 65-inch TV for $320. I couldn't believe it. I've never even seen a TV this big. Who knew you could get this thing is massive for $320. I didn't even know you could buy a TV that big. I feel like it's not a lot of money for a TV like that. It blew my mind. I've never seen a TV that big in my entire life. So hey, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, maybe I do need to get a cup of coffee here at some point today. That's probably not a bad idea. Folks, any minute Carolyn Leavitt is coming on out here. You know what? I will tell you guys something here. I don't want to toot my own horn, okay, but I will be honest, okay? We need to give an honest assessment. I feel like a lot of the other media personalities, people doing podcasts, people doing news coverage, they are a little bit, as far as I'm concerned, they are a little bit too professional. I like a little bit more of a human experience. Despite the allegations of being AI, I am a real guy. I'm a human guy. I woke up on the bad side of the bed today. I woke up on the stupid side of the bed today. You know, some of the shows out there, they are a little bit more professional. They're wearing a suit and tie. They've got the multi-million-dollar production budget, whatever. They've got the editors. They've got the staffers, the producers. I'm just a real guy. Okay, I'm doing my best. So, hey. That's the way that it is. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. I'm seeing breaking news real quick. Maybe we're going to be talking about this today at some point here. I got to tell you. Maybe Carolyn Levin is going to talk about this. Alerts are now ringing out in central Israel following the launch of a ballistic missile. Seems like just one singular ballistic missile from the Houthis down in Yemen. So it's not being launched out of Iran like we saw a couple months ago. It's being launched by the Houthi, by the pirates down there in Yemen. So, you know, generally, I will tell you this. If you are concerned by this, generally the Houthis down in Yemen, they seem to be effectively incompetent. They've done this before. They've launched ballistic missiles up towards Israel. And all of I don't think they have ever actually done any damage at all. Now, the Iranian ballistic missiles, they have done some damage back in the past, a couple months ago. The Houthis, I don't think that they have ever actually even successfully damaged anything in Israel ever. I think probably this ballistic missile launch by them is a little bit more symbolic as opposed to really trying to do a lot of damage. Seems to be the case. Seems to be the case. Folks, I gotta say, really, I'm just so curious to see what is this proclamation going to be. President Trump is issuing a proclamation in 3.5 hours later today. I'm hoping Carolyn Levitt comes out and lets us know, what is he going to proclaim? What are we proclaiming? In addition to a bunch of other stuff. So, hey, again, thank you folks for your patience. She's going to come on out here any minute. Now, these Carolyn Levitt press briefings, they can be all over the place. A couple weeks ago, we had Tulsi Gabbard made a special guest appearance. We've had Trump himself has made guest appearances at these things. You know, so who's to say this is only Carolyn Levitt? We could have some special guests. We could have Pete Hegseth come on out here, our new Secretary of War. I don't know. We've had Marco Rubio show up to these things. So, hey. Once again today, we really don't know what's going on right now. That's why we're here, sitting on the edge of our seat. I see this comment. Benny Johnson is a clickbaiter. You know, sometimes I see people coming in my chat and they're mad about Benny Johnson. Frankly, I don't watch a whole lot of Benny Johnson. So I'm not really sure why people are mad or, you know, whether you like him or don't like him. I don't really know. I really don't have an opinion. I'm not sure. I will say about the concept of clickbait, though. This is my opinion. I feel like clickbait is only really clickbait if you don't have the substance behind it to back it up. You know what I mean? So if you have a bombastic thumbnail or a title for the YouTube video, it might be bombastic, but as long as you have the substance within the video to back it up, that's kind of how I operate. As long as you can back it up, as long as you've got something really crazy or exciting to kind of back up being a little bit bombastic sometimes, I think it's fine. But hey, everybody's got a different opinion on it, I suppose. Now, I do want to say, Ray, again, thank you for that super chat. Thank you. Another one here. Tommy says, get a coffee, Matt. Well, hey, I'm here. I don't know. Maybe if my wife is listening into the broadcast, maybe my beautiful wife could make me a coffee. But if not, it's okay. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. And then I see another super chat over here. This is from Craig Custer. He says, AI usually doesn't have their wife pop in from time to time with a coffee and no puppies, so I vote Matt is real. I gotta say, it's so funny every time people accuse me of being artificial intelligence. Guys, I have been a live broadcaster for 10 years now. I'm not even kidding. I used to be over on Twitch every day for like 12 hours a day on Twitch. I was streaming. I have one of the most like public online presences probably of anybody in the entire world. I've been in front of a webcam every day for 10 years now. So I am not artificial intelligence. Some days I wish I was, because I might be a little bit more intelligent. Today I'm not feeling so intelligent. Maybe I could use a little bit of artificial intelligence today. Maybe, but no, regrettably I'm not. Okay, I appreciate that though. Thank you. Thank you. And then there's a super chat over here in Rumble. Matt is my new favorite news guy. I would also recommend another gentleman named Devory His name is Devory Darkins. Yeah, Devory Darkins, I think, is probably maybe the most successful independent broadcaster. I think he's the top dog in this space, in this sort of independent news coverage space. he's incredibly successful. You can't hate on that. He knows what he's doing. Devori Darkins, also Benny Johnson. We were talking about him a minute ago. Benny Johnson is also incredibly successful. I don't know. Maybe I'm in the top 5 or the top 10. I'm not sure, but anyway, you can't hate on the success of those guys. I appreciate that though. There's another super chat here while we are waiting for Carolyn Levitt to come on out. This is from Christy. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. She says, we are going to need to see a small picture of Bigfoot in the background. Imagine if Bigfoot came out. Imagine if Bigfoot came out and he was the press secretary today. Hey, everybody, Bigfoot here. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot. Means a lot, folks. If you're tuning in, President Trump's press secretary, Carolyn Levitt, is stepping on out here any minute. And I think we're going to be talking about a wide variety of topics. We will probably talk about Israel's strike on Qatar from a couple hours ago. That happened earlier this morning. Everybody is talking about that right now. President Trump is making a massive proclamation, and nobody knows what, but Trump is making a big proclamation about 3.5 hours from now. Does anybody know what he's going to proclaim? Nope. So we're hoping that Carolyn Levitt kind of gives us a hint or a spoiler, a teaser, at least a little bit. I think we're also going to be talking about Biden's job numbers, which were over-reported to the tune of 911,000. We'll probably talk about that. We'll touch on that today very soon. That's my guess. I think we're also going to talk about this situation today. Terrible, disgusting situation. Irina Zarutska, who is this beautiful young Ukrainian woman who lost her life on this public transit train about a week and a half ago. President Trump was posting about this on Truth Social just the other day, actually yesterday afternoon. So I imagine all of these topics we are going to be talking about today. That would be my guess. There's a lot going on in this country right now. Now, I'm going to pull up Truth Social right now, and I'm going to see if President Trump is saying anything right now. President Trump on Truth Social is talking about the Federal Reserve. He's not happy about that, obviously. Jerome Powell. This is what Trump said about Irina Zarutska. He said, I have seen the horrific video of a beautiful young Ukrainian refugee who came to America to escape the vicious war in Ukraine and was innocently riding the metro in Charlotte, North Carolina, where she was brutally ambushed by a mentally deranged lunatic. The perpetrator was a well-known career criminal who had been previously arrested and released on cashless bail. Cashless bail. In January, a total of 14 times he had been released, a total of 14 times. What the hell was he doing riding on the train and walking the streets? Criminals like this need to be locked up. Do they need to be locked up, or should we? Listen, if you are a career criminal abuser, you've got a criminal record of 20 years, you're in and out of prison, all you know how to do is steal, rob, murder, kill. That's what you've spent your entire life doing, 20 years, robbing, murdering, and killing people, abusing people. That's what this guy has done. Do you need to be locked up, or I think there's an alternative here. I think there's perhaps an alternative that maybe should have been pursued a long time ago. The blood of this innocent woman can literally be seen dripping from the killer's knife, and now her blood is on the hands of the Democrats who refuse to put bad people in jail, including former disgraced governor, wannabe Senator Roy Cooper, North Carolina. Now, for anybody here that's a little bit older than me, I'm 31 right now. As I understand it, you guys got to let me know, in the 1990s, there was a massive national debate. It was one of the hot topics in the mid-90s, whether or not the death penalty for the worst of the worst criminals is something that we ought to maintain as a nation. Should we have the death penalty, firing squad, electric chair, euthanasia, whatever? Should we ever, in any circumstance, have the death penalty in this nation, period? This was a massive national dialogue. It was a debate across the nation in the mid-1990s. And for me, you know, I wasn't really, well, I was born in 1993, so I was not a part of this debate. I was a little baby. But this seems like such a stupid debate to have. My answer is obviously yes. Obviously yes. Listen, if we know it's you, we have 100% proof, confirmation that this person, you committed this terrible crime, whatever the crime is. Use your imagination, I guess. If we know that you did it, you are guilty beyond any reasonable doubt. Yeah. Listen, yeah. Now I see some people say, well, it's actually a much better punishment to force them to spend the rest of their lives in a prison cell. Listen, I don't care about that. It is not worth it to spend $50,000 a year housing a mass shooter who killed 50 kids in an elementary school, whatever the situation. I don't really care about making them, hey buddy, you're going to sit in a prison cell and think about what you did. You're going to have to spend the next 50 years of your life sitting in a solitary confinement cell, and you're going to have to think about everything bad that you did. I don't really care about that. Listen, they are a problem. They are a detriment to society. We're spending tax money keeping them alive in the prison. It's a waste of money. Just get rid of them. If we know it's them, if we know that they did it, it's the cheaper solution. Just why don't my goal is to stop these people from being a drain and a detriment on society. I think that is the most noble goal of all. To keep them in a prison cell where they can reflect on their actions. Listen, I actually don't really care if a school shooter has to spend 50 years reflecting on their actions. That's not really my prerogative. I want them to stop being a drain on society. And even if they are locked up in a prison cell for 50 years, they are a drain on society to the tune of $50,000 a year or however much it costs to keep them alive and housed and fed and whatever. So yeah, that's my opinion. This whole debate on whether or not we should pursue the death sentence in the worst of the worst cases, to me, that just seems nuts. It's like, yeah, obviously we should. And that is in the worst of the worst cases. Now, I will also say, if there is any doubt whether or not this terrible person committed the terrible crime, then okay, maybe you don't pursue the death sentence. But there are some situations where we know that they did it. We know that that guy did this, right? There are certain cases where there is no ambiguity about whether or not this terrible guy did that terrible thing. And so it is in those cases, yeah, shut him down. That's how I feel. But yeah, no, if there is a shade of ambiguity here, then you know what? Okay, maybe reserve that penalty, that punishment, death sentence, reserve that. Come back to it later, maybe. Now, I have to say, this is from Rocks and Cows. Once again, thank you very much. He says, by the way, I forgot to mention how this is a big brother type of love. You graduated in 1993. Yeah, I'll tell you what here. On YouTube and Rumble, the average age of a member of this audience is actually over the age of 55. In fact, 75%, no, to be exact, 76% of the people tuning into my content, to my videos and broadcasts here, are over the age of 55. So I'm 31. I am maybe 2 times younger than the average member of this audience. Now, and hey, I'm not complaining. I like you guys. It's fine. Maybe I have an old soul. I'm not sure. Something a little bit wild though is that I've been making these short form content. I've been putting them on Facebook and Instagram, and my shorts now that I've been making for the last couple weeks, the average audience, the average age of the audience for those shorts is 30, something like that, about my age. So it seems like older people like longer content and younger people like shorter content. That's kind of my inference, at least. That seems to be the case. And, I think that makes a little bit of sense. Younger people, they all have ADHD. They've all grown up playing video games and whatever. You got to have action. Go, right? So they need the stimulus. They need the dopamine. Kind of makes sense, I guess, a little bit. The older members of the audience, maybe they have a little bit more patience. They say patience is a virtue. I think it's a virtue that a lot of people maybe don't have these days. It's a good virtue to have, though. Sure is. Speaking of patience, ladies and gentlemen, right now we are waiting for Carolyn Leavitt, the White House press secretary, to step on out and let us know what is going on in the country. There are a series of topics, maybe 10 different individual topics, that we are looking for more information on today. So hopefully she comes on out here and lets us know. That's what I'm hoping. I do want to say shout out the Rumble chat, shout out the YouTube chat where Matt Morse TV Rumble, Matt Morse TV YouTube. Something is going strange on Rumble today, a little bit weird. I don't even know why. We are live on Rumble in 2 different locations. It's a duplicate broadcast, same title, same thumbnail, same channel. It's on my channel, but there's 2 different broadcasts, and I don't know why. So if you are on Rumble right now, I will say, maybe all of you guys try to hop on over to whichever of the 2 broadcasts has the most viewers, I guess. So look at the 2, and if you're in the smaller one, hop over to the bigger one. So at least all of you are in the same place at the same time. Maybe that would help a little bit, but I don't really know why that happened. Some weird technical difficulty today. I'm not sure. Now we have a super chat here over on YouTube. I want to say this is from Dee Dee Willingham. She says, "You give us hope for the next generation." I'll tell you what. Millennials, maybe you don't have that much to be optimistic about. I'm a very young millennial. I think I just barely made the cutoff. However, Gen Z, these Gen Z guys, young Gen Z men specifically, these boys, they are, according to every stat or study or metric that I have seen ever, Gen Z men are the most conservative generation of men that this nation has had in like 100 years. If you think you're conservative, compare yourself to the average 22-year-old American boy, young American man. Gen Z men are, you would not even believe how conservative, how, dare I say, not conservative, regressive. They want to go backwards. They're not looking to conserve where we are now. They're looking to take the country backwards. And hey, I'm with them. I'm a little bit with them on that. You know, I guess the word conservative, the word I want to conserve, what does that mean? That means you want to try to, you know, hold on to what we have now. I want to conserve what we have now. I'm even a little bit beyond that. I'm like, listen, yeah, we want to stop giving up ground to the progressive left, yes, but also we need to start taking ground back. We need to stop just sitting here on the defense. We need to go on the offense. We need to start undoing the damage the progressives have caused. We need to rewind the country a little bit. We got to start taking back ground that we've lost over the last couple decades. We do need to regress. Sometimes I see some people in the comments section sometimes. Believe it or not, I do read what you guys post in the comments section in the live chat. Sometimes I see people say, "Matt, you need to stop calling them progressives. They're not progressives." Listen, I'm totally comfortable letting them have that word. They can be progressives. And, you know, on the inverse, I'm comfortable being a regressive. I am comfortable saying I want to regress the country. Okay? How the country was 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago, I want that. We got to take that back. That's how I feel. I'm comfortable. I own the word. I am comfortable being called a regressive. It doesn't bother me. And so inversely, if they want to be progressive, that's fine. They can try to progress the country down into becoming a living hellscape, but I'm going to try to regress the country back to the former days of glory. That's how I feel about it. So I'm a proud regressive, if you can call it that. Doesn't bother me at all. They can have the title progressive. Okay. It is what it is. Doesn't bother me. They can have it. Now, folks, right now, I will tell you, I want to say thank you all very much for your patience, because right now, Carolyn Levitt, who is our White House press secretary, she is about 27 minutes behind schedule. Let me check my watch. Yeah, 27 minutes behind schedule. So she's going to come on out here any minute now and let us know what is going on. Her press conferences normally last for about an hour, because what she does, she comes out and she gives us her spiel, and then she spends about a half hour taking questions from the audience, which is good. I like that. Do you, ladies and gentlemen, do you remember our last press secretary? What was her name? Karine Jean-Pierre. Karine Jean-Pierre. I have a conspiracy theory here. I think the Biden administration, they hand selected the single ugliest person in the entire country to be their press secretary, and they landed on Karine Jean-Pierre. It was really just, it was like they were trying to mock us, like they're making fun of us. They're like, haha, once a week you have to look at the most disgusting looking human in the entire country, introducing Karine Jean-Pierre. And every week we were forced to look at Karine Jean-Pierre, whatever her name is. So thank God she is gone. Thank God she is out of here. She's a liar. Yeah, she was terrible. You hear that? 2 minutes. We just got the notice, folks. 2 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 minutes. We got the confirmation until the briefing begins. Peace. We're holding up our peace sign. There you go. Yeah, really, just terrible woman. Nasty woman, a real nasty woman. She's a real nasty woman, she was. Also, Logjam over here in the Rumble chat, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. $5 for wearing your hat the right way. You don't think it'd be better if I wore the hat like this? Like a gangbanger? You think that might be better? Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I'm not a member of a gang. Sorry about that. Now also, hey, Jestix gifted 1 Rumble Premium. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, I'm just going to keep on wearing the hat the right way. Word, peace. Yep, true. Folks, I think she's coming on out. The camera has been zoomed in. Make sure the audio is good. I think our audio is probably on point here. I think we're probably good. You know, personally, I did not grow up in the hood, but I grew up on the hood. Mount Hood, that is, right outside of Portland, Oregon. That's where I spent all my free time. Mount Hood. On the hood, not in the hood. They're plugging in the cables. All right, they're coming out any minute. Any second now. And that's what it's all about. I'm going to shrink my webcam down a little bit here so you guys have a better view of what's going on. There we go. That's how I feel. I love an old hat. This hat here, it looks all messed up. You want to know why? It's because my little German Shepherd puppy, his name is Argos, he's about 5 months old. The puppy has decided that this hat of mine is one of his favorite chew toys. And so, multiple times a week, I have to rip this hat out of the dog's mouth. Which is why it has all of these bite marks. Which is why the hat is slowly deteriorating. However, it is a good hat. I do like this hat, so I'm not going to toss it out. I will wear it until it's totally, until it's just destroyed, frankly. But, you know, it's a dog toy. And if you don't believe me, real quick, here, I'm going to show you something. Can you see the back of this? Look at that. You don't believe me? That's the back of the hat right there. Okay, you know, the dog has been chewing on this thing. Unbelievable. This dog... Oh, they're coming out. All right. There we go.
Good afternoon, everybody. Apologize for my tardiness today. Thanks for being here. Another packed room. It's good to see. We'll begin with a scheduling update today. President Trump will commemorate the 24th anniversary of 9/11 on Thursday with a visit to the Pentagon Memorial in the morning, followed by an appearance at the New York Yankees game at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx on Thursday evening. Next week, as you all know, the President and the First Lady will depart for their historic state visit to the United Kingdom on Tuesday, and they return to Washington on Thursday. Today, I would like to address the tragedy that has not received nearly enough media attention, the brutal murder of Irina Zarutska.
Okay.
Here are the facts that many outlets have shamefully and intentionally failed to report until President Trump drew attention to it. On August 22nd, Irina Zarutska was stabbed to death on the rail system in Charlotte, North Carolina, by a savage career criminal.
Terrible.
This is a public transportation system that many in the area use every single day to go to school and work. Irina was on the train that night traveling home from her job at a pizzeria, still in uniform from her shift. This beautiful, innocent 23-year-old young woman was a Ukrainian refugee who had recently fled her country for a chance at a safer life and a promising new beginning here in the United States of America.
That's right.
But tragically, a public transportation system in a major American city was more dangerous than the active war zone that she left.
Yep.
The president and the entire White House are praying for her family and friends during this unimaginably difficult time. But while we extend our thoughts and prayers, we must also seek justice for this crime and call attention to this heinous incident. Surveillance video of the killing was finally released to the public this past Friday. It shows the alleged killer, DeCarlos Brown Jr., pull out a knife, get up from his seat behind Irina and prepare to thrust a blade into her neck before the released footage gets cut. This is pure evil on full display. The most enraging and unacceptable part of this story is that her death was entirely preventable. DeCarlos Brown never should have been on that train that night. In fact, he should have been behind bars. DeCarlos Brown has been charged with crimes no fewer than 14 times, dating back to 2011, including for armed robbery, felony larceny, breaking and entering, and shoplifting. Brown had previously served 5 years in prison for a robbery with a deadly weapon charge, and he had also forfeited bonds 3 different times, twice in 2014 and once in 2023. Despite all of this past documented criminal history, when Brown was arrested yet again in January of this past year, a Democrat judge, who I will add was a strong supporter of former Vice President Kamala Harris, released this insane criminal once again without requiring him to pay any bail. He simply had to sign a written promise to return for his court hearing. Think about how crazy it is to ask a career criminal, someone who by definition repeatedly breaks the law, to just sign a written promise and come back again another day. This is madness. This monster should have been locked up, and Irina should still be alive.
Not locked
but
up.
But Democrat politicians, liberal judges,
Something
and weak
else.
prosecutors would rather virtue signal than lock up criminals and protect their communities. And perhaps most shamefully of all, the majority of the media, many outlets in this room, decided that her murder was not worth reporting on originally because it does not fit a preferred narrative.
That's right.
Many of the journalists in this room spilled plenty of ink trying to smear Daniel Penny for defending a subway car from a deranged lunatic in New York City, but none of those same reporters lift a finger to write stories about an actual murderer. Here's the truth that every American must know. Too many innocent people across the country continue to pay the price of the failed experiment known as cashless bail that has been championed by the Democrat Party for years. All the way back in 2020, North Carolina's then Democrat Governor Roy Cooper established a so-called task force for racial equity and criminal justice. Sounds nice, but it's not.
Racial equity.
That task force was co-authored by then Attorney General and current Democrat Governor Josh Stein. It recommended, quote, reimagining public safety to, quote, promote diversion and other alternatives to arrest. It also advised to de-emphasize some felony crimes, prioritize, quote, restorative justice, and eliminate cash bail. Democrats in North Carolina and nationwide are consumed with pushing a woke, soft-on-crime agenda, no matter how many innocent Americans suffer as a result. Instead of aggressively prosecuting and locking up violent criminals, the Democrat-backed cashless bail approach lets these criminals roam free in our country to offend again and again. These reckless policies have turned too many of American cities into hunting grounds for career criminals who mock our justice system, drain law enforcement resources, and wreak havoc on law-abiding citizens. Enough is enough, and that is why President Trump is doing everything in his power by taking action to undo these absurd policies. The president recently signed a powerful executive order directing the AG to submit a list of states and local jurisdictions with cashless bail policies so that the Trump administration may identify federal funds that are being provided to these states and can potentially be suspended or terminated. President Trump firmly believes that to maintain order in public safety, we must incarcerate individuals whose pending criminal charges or criminal history demonstrate a clear, ongoing risk to civil society.
At a minimum.
This is a common sense and sensible approach that the vast majority of Americans agree with, and it's time for the Democrat Party to get on board with what is right. When these criminals are caught, they must be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and be sent to prison, where they can no longer terrorize our streets. This is the mandate the American people delivered to President Trump, and it's a mandate he intends to fulfill. Staying on the topic of public safety, new preliminary data released today by Customs and Border Protection in August shows that President Trump has delivered the most secure border in American history. For the 4th straight month, 0 illegal aliens were released into the United States by CBP. Nationwide encounters are down 93%, below the peak of the Biden administration. Border Patrol apprehensions on the southwest border in the entire month of August were less than what was apprehended in 4 days in August 2024 under the Biden administration. President Trump has ended disastrous Biden illegal alien invasion, and he sealed our border in record time, keeping this central promise he made to the American public. With that, I will take your questions. Here in our new media seat today, we have Michael Schellenberger, who is the founder of Public News with nearly 2 million readers and subscribers. Michael, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And why don't you kick us off?
I really am, man.
Thank you for making space for new media. Nice to meet all of you. It's great to be here. I want to see if you could give some insight into whether the president is considering additional measures against Europe and Brazil, not just for censorship, but also for preventing political candidates from actually competing in elections. We've now seen in Romania, France, and now Germany with Joachim Paul, efforts to basically just prevent candidates from being able to compete in elections. The president has shown some concern around President Bolsonaro, who's being prevented from running. All of this is coming in the context of increased censorship of online platforms, of American platforms, and efforts to censor Americans. I'm personally being investigated under criminal investigation with my Brazilian colleagues for publishing the Twitter Files Brazil. We're very grateful that the president has imposed Magnitsky sanctions on the judge. Is the president considering additional actions, given that it appears that they're going to end up with a conviction against President Bolsonaro, preventing him from running? Is he considering doing anything about this crackdown in Europe? I mean, it's shocking to see Joachim Paul, this mayoral candidate in Germany, the criminal indictment against him cites him, quote, saying that he loves the Lord of the Rings as reason why he's an extremist and shouldn't be able to run. So I just wonder if you could speak to that. And again, I'm grateful to be here. Nice to meet you all.
I too love the Lord of the Rings.
I'm grateful for what the Trump administration has done to push for free speech abroad.
Well, thanks for being here, Michael. We appreciate it. Freedom of speech is arguably the most important issue of our time. It is enshrined in our Constitution, and the president believes in it strongly. He himself faced censorship in his road back to this beautiful Oval Office here in Washington, D.C., so he takes this very seriously, as does, I know, the Vice President of the United States and the entire Trump administration, which is why we have taken significant action with regards to Brazil in the form of both sanctions and also leveraging the use of tariffs to ensure that countries around the world are not punishing their citizens in this way. And at the same time, the president is, while he's leveraging the United States to safeguard our interests abroad, he's also making sure that freedom of speech remains here in the United States of America. So I don't have any additional actions to preview for you today, but I can tell you this is a priority for the administration, and the president is unafraid to use the economic might, the military might of the United States of America to protect free speech around the world.
Quick follow-up to that?
Sure.
Quick follow-up, which is just, there was a Reuters story saying that the Trump administration was looking at this Europe-U.S. trade deal as one of the sticking points, this issue of the censorship, not just of U.S. platforms, of Americans. Do you have any updates on how those trade talks are going? And I also wonder if the president is concerned about NATO membership. NATO membership requires that you be a democracy and you have free speech. Is it possible that some of these actions that we've seen in Romania, France, and Germany would disqualify those countries from being in NATO after this?
I have not heard the president discuss NATO membership in regards to this issue in particular, but I have heard him discuss the issue of free speech and the importance of free speech with foreign leaders around the world, including the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom when we were in Scotland. The president brought this up and how important it is for the Prime Minister to protect free speech in the UK and in various conversations with other world leaders. So he brings it up, and I think the entire world knows that this is a priority for the president of the United States. Gabe.
Thank you, Caroline. Regarding the Israeli strike in Doha, how much time or how much of a heads up did the U.S. get, and does the president support the strike?
Sure. Well, I have a statement to read for all of you with respect to the Israeli strike in Doha, and here it is. This morning, the Trump administration was notified by the United States military that as Israel was attacking Hamas, which very unfortunately was located in a section of Doha, the capital of Qatar. Unilaterally bombing inside Qatar, a sovereign nation and close ally of the United States that is working very hard and bravely taking risks with us to broker peace, does not advance Israel or America's goals. However, eliminating Hamas, who have profited off the misery of those living in Gaza, is a worthy goal. President Trump immediately directed Special Envoy Witkoff to inform the Qataris of the impending attack, which he did. The president views Qatar as a strong ally and friend of the United States and feels very badly about the location of this attack. President Trump wants all of the hostages in Gaza and the bodies of the dead released. and this war to end now. President Trump also spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu after the attack. The Prime Minister told President Trump that he wants to make peace, and quickly. President Trump believes this unfortunate incident could serve as an opportunity for peace. The president also spoke to the Emir and Prime Minister of Qatar and thanked them for their support and friendship to our country. He assured them that such a thing will not happen again on their soil.
And to be clear, the president disagrees with the location of the strike and that he passed that along to Prime Minister Netanyahu.
The president just confirmed that in the statement that I just read to you.
Trump was
which
not
I
happy
spoke with
about
him
that strike.
before coming out here.
Caroline,
Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. So is the
you
president
have it.
upset with Netanyahu now?
The president made his thoughts and concerns about this very clear, and he spoke again both to Prime Minister Netanyahu and also the Emir and the Prime Minister of Qatar after this attack. And the president has always made it very clear that he wants peace in the Middle East, just like he sought that and accomplished that in his first term. He expects all of our allies and friends in the region, that includes both Qatar and Israel, to seek peace as well. And he wants to see that happen, and he's working with all of our allies in the region to get that done.
Are there any consequences, so to speak, for Netanyahu doing this, as it sounds, against the president's wishes, or at least his belief that it was appropriate? Is there going to be any directive from the president to Netanyahu in terms of what's allowed in the future? And also, is there any concern this could jeopardize the Abraham Accords?
Look, that's a decision only the president can make. With respect to your first question, to answer your second question, as you heard from the president, he said he believes that this can serve as an opportunity for peace, and he's still actively and aggressively pursuing it with all of our allies and partners in the region. Jennifer.
Just to follow up on that, Caroline, are you able to say how often the president spoke to the Prime Minister of Israel before this? Because that's one question. And then what did he mean on Sunday when he posted, "I've given my last warning to Hamas," etc.? He wasn't talking about this strike on Doha?
No, he was not. As I told you, the Trump administration was notified by the United States military that Israel was attacking Hamas, and the president spoke to the Prime Minister after the attack, as well as, again, the Emir and the Prime Minister of Qatar. And I know Secretary Rubio and Special Envoy Witkoff were present for that call with the Qataris as well. Reagan.
Thanks, Caroline. I have two questions for you on crime crackdown.
Sure.
Democrats have tried to argue that red states have higher crime rates while overlooking problems of high crime in blue cities. I'm wondering if the president would consider working with red state governors to fix high crime in blue cities, like in Memphis, Tennessee.
So
Good
first
example.
of all, I want to get to the premise of your question, Reagan, which is being pushed by Democrats, that there is crime in red states. Of course, there is crime in all states, but the crime in these cities is all in cities that are run by Democrats. If you look at the list of the top 20 high crime cities in the United States, every single one, with the exception of one in Louisiana, is run by a Democrat. And these Democrats have supported the same policies that I spoke about at the beginning of this briefing, like cashless bail. If you look at a red state, Mississippi, but a Democrat-run city in that state, Jackson, in 2019, Jackson, Mississippi eliminated cash bail for virtually all misdemeanor cases. And while Jackson is not formally a sanctuary city, the state of Mississippi formally banned sanctuary cities, and this city has acted as a de facto sanctuary city for criminals and illegal aliens since 2017. Same thing, Birmingham, Alabama, a Democrat-run city in a red state. In 2017, the Birmingham City Council unanimously passed a resolution, quote, committing to establish sanctuary policies. So if you actually look at the facts from these Democrat-run cities, these are cities that are run by Democrats and by by members of the Democrat Party. These are blue cities, and they have all supported these disastrous policies which allow repeated career criminals back onto the streets to further commit acts of violence. And so to answer your question, yes, the president wants to work with anyone across this country who wants to end these horrible policies and to bring law and order to our streets. And I think that is proven by his tremendous cooperation with the mayor of Washington, D.C. and our nation's capital. And just look at the results of that. And I do have some updates for you on the D.C. crime crackdown if anyone is interested. There have been a total of 2,177 arrests made since the start of the operation on August 7th. Just last night, there were 57 arrests made in Washington, D.C.
Let's go.
Of the 57 arrests, there were 14 illegal aliens who were arrested, many of whom had prior criminal histories. And other arrests just last night in our nation's capital, so you all can be very grateful for this. Our great men and women of law enforcement, both federal and local, working together as they should, made an arrest on a warrant for assault with the intent to kill. The subject shot 2 adult males after an altercation. They made an arrest on a warrant for an armed carjacking. The subject assaulted an adult male in the face with a firearm and then took his keys. We also made an arrest on a warrant for simple assault and the destruction of property and subsequently charged with second-degree theft. Last night in D.C., there was an arrest for possession of a controlled substance with second-degree theft. There was an arrest for possession of a controlled substance with the intent to distribute that subject. The person is also a subject of interest in a homicide and a carjacking. Last night in D.C., we also arrested a felon in possession of a firearm who was carrying that firearm without a license. So these are the career criminals. These are the bad guys that we are picking up in Washington, D.C. every day. The president would love to do this in every Democrat-run city across the country, and he hopes that more Democrats will call the White House to allow us to help them.
One more that's D.C. specific. Congress is poised to not extend Trump's federalization of the D.C. police. Mayor Bowser signed an executive order formalizing cooperation with federal forces. You just mentioned all the success that the operation has had. Does the White House believe that the Mayor Bowser's action is enough to continue the crime crackdown?
We are very grateful for the mayor's cooperation in this effort, and we look forward to continuing to work with her and the Metropolitan Police Department. Bloomberg.
Thanks, Caroline. The president says, he plans to speak with Putin soon. Can we expect a phone call between the two leaders this week?
I don't have any phone calls to read out between you, the president, and any other foreign leaders. Ed.
Thanks, Carolyn. I want to ask about the benchmark revisions that came out. If you look at the revisions between March of 2024 and March of 2025, and you do a little math, it averages out to 73,000 jobs roughly per month added to the economy, less than what was thought. When can we expect the Trump administration, now that their policies are rolling out, for that average to increase?
Well, let me just say something about the revisions that came out this morning. And this was one of the biggest revisions in absolute terms in decades. And the benchmark year, March 2024 to 2025, shows that the job growth was vastly weaker during the Biden administration than ever previously reported. Between this revision and last year's, job growth was actually overstated by approximately 2 million jobs. And the Biden administration stood up here and vouched for that data and told you that data was real. And when President Trump calls into question the veracity of that data, like he did before he took the oath of office and even now as president of the United States, he was ridiculed for that. And turns out this revision proves 2 things. Number one, the president was right. And this is why we need new leadership at the Fed. And this makes it very clear that President Trump inherited a much worse economy by the Biden administration than ever reported. And it also proves that the Federal Reserve is holding our monetary policy far too restrictive. Interest rates are too high. The Fed needs to cut the rates because of the mess that we inherited from the Biden administration.
Time frame. The president has said a year. Secretary Bessent said maybe the fourth quarter. When can we expect these numbers to increase?
Well, first, we need accurate numbers. We need truthful and honest data, which is why the president took the monumental step to try and appoint and confirm new leadership at the BLS so we can have data that we can actually rely on.
This data is bunk
and that's
always.
What the president is doing, and we hope that his nominee will soon be confirmed. Charlie.
You addressed the crime of Irina Zarutska, and the president has done a lot to deliver justice for victims of crimes like that horrific stabbing. And the Epstein files are back in the news because a lot of Americans feel that that Jeffrey Epstein's victims never got justice. Does the president care about these victims? Do you think he can does he want to deliver more justice for them, and is he willing to meet with them?
The president cares about victims of all crimes, and that's why Republicans in the Trump Department of Justice have done more in terms of transparency when it comes to the Epstein case than any prior administration. And why are the Democrats all of a sudden caring about this? It's because they are desperately trying to concoct a hoax to smear the president of the United States. We have seen this time and time again. Ro Khanna and all of these other Democrats, they could have cared about those victims 4 years ago. When Joe Biden was in office, they could have pushed for transparency then. Unfortunately, the Democrats are using victims as political pawns to try to smear and to push a hoax against the president of the United States. And I will get you numbers on the amount of child predators that this administration and this FBI and this Department of Justice have locked up under President Trump's leadership. We have done more than any president to protect victims of crime, especially disgusting, heinous sexual crimes. And that includes the deportation of illegal aliens who are perpetrating these crimes against innocent victims in our country right now today, and that remains a top priority for this administration.
Does the president, will he meet with the victims?
On the Doha strikes, did the president speak with Netanyahu before they were carried out? Did he urge him to not go through with it, or did they only speak afterwards?
Again, I read you a statement. The Trump administration was notified by the United States military that Israel was attacking Hamas. The president directed his special envoy Witkoff to immediately call the Qataris. And after the attack, he spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu.
One more.
Behind you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
About the Epstein case, would the White House support a professional handwriting expert review of the document released yesterday to prove that it's not the president's signature?
Sure, we would support that. And in fact, I have already seen many forensic analysts of signatures coming out. I believe it was the Daily Signal that published a piece with 3 separate signature analysts who said that this absolutely was not the president's authentic signature. And we have maintained that position all along. The president did not write this letter. He did not sign this letter. And that's why the president's external legal team is aggressively pursuing litigation against the Wall Street Journal, and they will continue to. Christian.
Thanks, Caroline. Following up on Ed, now that we have these revised jobs numbers, is the president concerned at all that price spikes, stemming from his tariffs through the end of the year, might actually be driving the country towards a depression or a recession? What I'm asking is he committed to these policies now that we know how faulty the jobs data was?
The president is committed to his policies because his policies are working, Christian. And there have been a lot of people fear-mongering about inflation in this room, but it just has not come to fruition. On a monthly basis, CPI inflation has now come in at or below the market's expectation for 6 consecutive months every month that President Trump has been in office. Overall, inflation has run at a 1.9% average pace.
Folks, I have to say real quick, after this is done, I'm sorry, I'm bottling it up right now. Once Carolyn Levitt is done talking, we're going to have a big talk about this arena situation, the stabbing on the subway train. We're going to talk a lot about race, but I want to finish this first. So hold it in, but after this, I want you to know, stick around because we're going to talk a lot about some pretty heavy stuff.
The capital spending boom right now, which we know is one of the greatest economic indicators of job growth. We know wages are increasing at a far faster pace than they were under the previous administration. We see productivity in the second quarter was also revised up to a strong 3.3%. And total industrial production, factory output also surged. All of this means the economy is moving, people are working, people are spending money. You look at consumer spending, that is also ticking up and in the right direction. And a large part, it's because of the incredible work the president has done in terms of energy and unlocking our energy dominance in this country. Again, these jobs, the numbers from the BLS today prove that the economy was an absolute mess, and we are working every single day to fix it, and all of those indicators I just read for you are positive sign of what is to come.
Just one more quickly on
Sure,
trade,
Danny.
I just wanted to get a bit of clarity on the sequence of events for the Doha attack and the notification. You said that the U.S. military notified, if I got it right, the Trump administration was notified by the U.S. military.
That's right.
Was the U.S. military notified by the Israeli military, or did the U.S. military detect an incoming Israeli attack on Qatar?
The U.S. military notified the White House and the President of the United States. That's all I have to share for you on that, Danny.
Thank you.
Jeff.
Also following up, you said that the president assured the leaders in Qatar that this would never happen again. Did he say that to the Prime Minister of Israel, and did Prime Minister Netanyahu agree to that?
The president told that to the emir and the prime minister of Qatar, and the president also overstressed the importance of peace in the region in his conversation with Prime Minister Netanyahu as well. And Prime Minister Netanyahu told President Trump he wants peace and he wants it quickly. That's what the president expects to happen. The president is very clear in the statement that he just had me read, and you will all see it out on True Social very shortly, I am sure. The whole world will see it. He wants all of the hostages released out of Gaza, and he wants this war to end. Those are two clear directives that the president is making very clear for the entire world to understand. Mary.
But Qatar obviously has been helping to negotiate these ceasefire talks. Does the president think that Israel is undermining negotiations by striking Qatar? Is he concerned that Qatar's no longer going to want to play that intermediary role?
I think the president addressed that in the statement. I can read the whole thing for you again. I think it's very thorough because the president wanted to address all of your questions. We wrote, unilaterally bombing inside Qatar, a sovereign nation and close ally of the United States that is working very hard and bravely taking risks with us to broker peace, does not advance Israel or America's goals. However, eliminating Hamas, who have profited off the misery of those living in Gaza, is a worthy goal. So he answered that question
And to be
himself.
clear, you can't say that Israel informed the U.S.
What I can tell you is the United States military informed the Trump administration.
Thank you. A quick follow on that. Can you tell
Trump
us
is not happy
when
about this.
The U.S. military was notified, given that the largest U.S. military base is in Doha? And then I have a question on D.C. crime.
This morning, just before the attack, as I said earlier as well.
Okay, thank you. And yesterday, the president spoke about D.C. crime and talked about how there was virtually none. And then he expressed frustration about things that take place in the home they call crime. He said, you know, they'll do anything they can to find something. If a man has a little fight with the wife, they say this is crime. See, now I can't claim 100%. Exactly what crimes was the president referring to?
He wasn't referring to crimes. That's exactly the point he was making, Ouija. What the president is saying is that these crimes will be made up and reported as a crime to undermine the great work that the federal task force is doing to reduce crime in Washington, D.C. And I think the president has every reason to believe that, given the efforts of many reporters in this room who actively seek to undermine the president and what he's doing in our nation's capital. We all know that deep inside you all agree with this because you all live here, and I'm sure you are very grateful for the administration's efforts to make the city, which we all reside in, much safer for ourselves and our families. Michael.
Thank you, Caroline. Florida Congressman Randy Fine is calling for judges to face consequences if the violent repeat offenders they release go on to commit new crimes. Is that something the president supports?
It's not something I've heard the president discuss. You can ask him yourself next time you have the opportunity to. How's that?
Caroline, one more question. On Thursday, President Trump will head to the Pentagon and also to New York City in honor of the 24th anniversary of 9/11. Has the president expressed any interest on creating or having congressmen create a new 9/11 commission to answer some of the ongoing questions many Americans have about that day?
I, again, have not heard the president discuss that. You're welcome to ask him yourself, but I do know he very much looks forward to going to both the Pentagon and the Yankees game in New York City on Thursday to commemorate the 24th anniversary. As you know, the president is a New Yorker at heart. He loves the city very much. It is his home, and you'll hear more about that on Thursday when the president speaks on this himself. Kelly.
Caroline, thank you. I wanted to ask you a question about the president speaking yesterday before the Religious Liberty Commission. As you know, he's created the White House Faith Office, the Task Force on Anti-Christian Bias, and yesterday he talked about the importance of the Bible in America and the importance of prayer in America. Some people have criticized him for that in stating that he's espousing Christian nationalism. Yet the president has called on the American people to band together in praying for this nation for people of all faiths. How important is that to the Trump administration, and are there guidelines for implementing that?
Well, last time I checked, it's not just Christians who pray, it's people of all faith who pray, and that's what the president wants to protect, the religious freedom for Americans of all faith. And he spoke about that yesterday, and that's why he was very proud and excited to announce this new initiative, Pray America, encouraging all Americans to pray for our country and the goodness of our country leading up to America's 250th birthday next year. Why don't we take some from the sides? Elizabeth, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. I have two questions.
Sure.
First, on prayer again. Is the Trump administration looking for the forthcoming prayer guidelines to challenge existing court precedent on the right to pray in public schools?
Well, the president spoke about that yesterday and some of the changes we are making to ensure that the religious liberties of America's students and our youth are respected in public schools. In fact, he had a young student and invited him on stage to share his story about how when this young boy spoke about biological and biblical truth in his classroom, he faced consequences for that, and how Americans of faith should not be facing consequences for expressing their religious freedom and their religious views. Not in any public school in America should that be happening. You heard the president talk about that yesterday.
Sure. Caroline, thank you so much. Regarding Israel attacking Doha, beside a phone call, What was President Trump's involvement in the attack, if any?
Look, I don't have anything more to read out for you on this other than the very lengthy and
She does
thorough
not want to
statement
talk
that I have
about
shared
that.
repeatedly now. Sure. Go ahead.
Thank you. After the Supreme Court ruling yesterday on the ICE raids in Los Angeles, some, particularly non-white U.S. citizens, are saying that they're going to begin carrying their U.S. passports with them at all times. What is the White House's response to Americans who are concerned about being swept up, as others have been already, in these enforcement actions?
They should not be concerned because this administration is focused on the detention and deportation of illegal alien criminals who broke our nation's immigration laws. And the Supreme Court upheld the Trump administration's right to stop individuals in Los Angeles to briefly question them regarding their legal status because the law allows this, and this has been the practice of the federal government for decades. And the Immigration and Nationality Act states that immigration officers can briefly stop an individual to question them about their immigration status if the officer has reasonable suspicion that the individual is illegally present in the United States. And reasonable suspicion is not just based on race, it's based on a totality of the circumstances to review. And I will tell you, I spoke to our border czar about this morning, when ICE goes out to conduct a targeted operation to deport illegal criminals from our community, they are doing so with intelligence, they are doing so with law enforcement sources, they are doing so in most cases with the backing of local law enforcement who know exactly where these illegal alien criminals and drug traffickers and drug dealers are hiding in plain sight in American communities. And the men and women of ICE are doing everything they can to not only follow the law, but to enforce the law. And it's about time that has happened because we had 4 years of an administration who completely ignored and evaded our nation's very clear immigration laws, and the Supreme Court has reaffirmed that.
Thanks, Caroline.
And thank God, good.
One of the other documents released by the House Oversight Committee contained a photo of Jeffrey Epstein holding an oversized check that was made out to him in the check from the president for $22,000 for a fully depreciated woman. I wondered if the president has any recollection of that, or what you guys make of that photo that was included in those documents.
Did you see the signature on that check? It is not Donald Trump's signature. It is absolutely not. The president did not sign that check.
But does he recognize the
Jordan,
woman?
go ahead.
Caroline,
Thank you, Caroline.
On the New York City election, Caroline. Is he
Well,
considering?
I'll take both of you. Go ahead.
So first, is the president considering offering Mayor Eric Adams a job? If so, why? And does he think Curtis Lee was a serious candidate for New York City mayor?
Look, the president has made it quite clear he wants this race to move forward in New York City. He does not want a communist to be running New York City, but as for weighing in on other individual candidates, I'll leave that to the president to do himself.
Caroline, and then following up on Reagan's question, you know, many of these highest crime cities in America, they're led by black mayors, including the 3 that you mentioned, Jackson, Memphis,
Really?
Birmingham. So given that, what's your response to criticism from the left that Trump is targeting black mayors? Isn't he just trying to protect black people?
The president is trying to protect all Americans from crime, and he wants to make all of our cities in America safe. And the fact is, the most dangerous cities in America are run by Democrats, overwhelmingly. And according to the FBI crime statistics, 19 of the top 20 cities with the highest murder rate are run by Democrats.
That is
these
correct.
high-crime Democrat-run cities are driving up the crime stats in otherwise safe red states. So, of course, he wants to address this problem. He's made that quite clear.
You know, Mike Johnson, he came out and said that the president was an FBI informant. Do you know what he meant by that, if it's not true?
I can affirm that is not true. I think the speaker was referring to the fact that President Trump kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago property for reasons the president has already discussed. John.
Oh, thank you, Caroline. First of all, as a Washington, D.C. resident with my family, I just want to thank the administration for revitalizing safety here. In the last 3 weeks, it's been stunning. Well, I want to go to Virginia. All of a sudden, out of the blue, Winsome Sears has closed the gap on Abigail Spanberger. Got 4 issues. Coerced abortions in Fairfax County without telling mom or dad, no parents, girls going in boys' bathrooms on film, right? 2 of the young fellows get suspended for complaining about it. Virginia Beach man, an innocent man, is now died in a car crash by a drunk illegal going on the other side of the road and now you got Spanberger's got these racist signs. When are we going to get the president to make an official endorsement of Winsome Sears and maybe come and campaign in West Virginia?
Well, as you know, I'm very limited in what I can talk about when it comes to political endorsements in future elections from this government podium. But all of the issues that you just mentioned, I know, are very important to the president, and it's quite common sense. It's the foundation of the Republican Party, and it's what sent this president back to the Oval Office. We want to keep men out of women's sports and bathrooms. We want criminals to be locked up. The president wants to see law and order in every state across the country. But as for political endorsements, I'll leave that to him and his political advisors to make those. Sure. Haley.
Thanks, Caroline. I have two questions for you, if it's okay. One on Doha and one on immigration and crime.
Sure.
On Doha, ahead of the strike we saw today, did the administration at any point try to dissuade the Israelis from the potential for an action like we saw today?
Again, I have answered questions repeatedly on this. I have a very lengthy statement which we will release after this briefing for all of you to read and to report on once again.
Okay, and then on a case in Maryland, the killing of Dakara Thompson, there are reports that the suspect arrested for her murder was in the country illegally and arrested and released for driving under the influence both in 2022 and in April of this year by U.S. Park Police. Is the administration looking into what process allowed this to take place?
Yes, we absolutely are. As soon as we saw this case, we ensured that the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Justice were on it, and I can assure you that they are. This is another heinous act of violence against someone who should have never been in our country illegally in the first place, and that's exactly why the deportation of illegal criminals from our country is a top priority for this administration, and it's something that is happening every single day, and I would encourage all of you to continue to report on the very violent illegal alien criminals that we are deporting daily from American communities across the country. We will never understand how many lives have been saved by these efforts, or how many lives would have been lost if not for this president and the administration's policy to deport illegal criminal aliens.
On tariffs. Thanks, Caroline. Follow up on Charlie's question. Would the president meet with the Jeffrey Epstein victims?
I don't have any meetings for you to read out on that.
On
tariffs. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. Is the Trump administration considering a ban on transgender Americans owning guns? Is that something the president would support, even as we've seen some gun groups oppose the idea of it?
I saw reporting on this. I understand there were very preliminary, low-level discussions about this at the Department of Justice, and then sometimes those discussions are reported as fact. I'm not tracking any potential actions on this front, and I'll let the president weigh in on that. It's a policy decision, and it's far too early or would be premature, inappropriate for me to weigh in on it at this point in time. Behind you. Go ahead.
After the immigration raid at the plant in Georgia on Friday, the president said over the weekend that he's open to some kind of changes in perhaps rules or visa rules or law that would prevent something like that happening in the future for skilled workers to train American workers.
That's right.
Can you confirm that and that the administration supports those changes, and what exactly would that look like?
Well, the president said it himself in a statement that he put out on Sunday night, where he is very grateful for foreign companies from around the world and the investments that they are making right here in the United States of America. And he understands that these companies want to bring their highly skilled and trained workers with them, especially when they're creating very niche products like chips, or in this case in Georgia, like batteries. But the president also expects these foreign companies to hire American workers, and for these foreign workers and American workers to work together to train and to teach one another. And so he expects these foreign companies to hire American labor. We want Americans to have these jobs. Americans need these jobs, but he also understands the need for these companies to bring over their workers who already have these skills. So I think it's a very
what those changes might be?
I think it's a very nuanced and responsible and sensible approach for the president to take. And I know that the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Commerce are working on this matter together. I would defer you to them for any further action on this front.
Caroline, thank you. Just I want to follow up on something you said. You said the Epstein documents are a hoax that Democrats are perpetrating against the president. You've said he didn't sign that check, that he didn't sign the birthday card that he allegedly signed. So what is the theory, since these documents came from the Epstein estate? Who is I guess in your view, faking these documents?
I did not say the documents are a hoax. I said the entire narrative surrounding Jeffrey Epstein right now that is absorbing many of the liberal cable channels on television is a hoax that is being perpetuated by opportunistic Democrats like Ro Khanna and the others whom you saw on that press conference outside of Capitol Hill, who are trying to push this hoax against the President of the United States.
What exactly is the hoax? I'm just trying to understand what's fake. What's fake is not the
The
documents.
hoax
then?
is the Democrats pretending to care about victims of crime when they do not care about victims of crime, when they have done nothing to solve crimes, when they have done nothing to lock up child pedophiles and child rapists across the country, and when they are now using victims as political props to try and, again, smear the President of the United States and drag on this bad story about him. It is a distraction. The Democrats view this story as nothing more than an attempt to distract from the accomplishments and the achievements of this administration. And that is what we mean when we call it a hoax.
If he didn't sign these, if you said he didn't sign the birthday card, he didn't do this, he also didn't do the check, those were in documents from the estate. So what is the working theory as to why he's in them?
The president has one of the most famous signatures in the world, and he has for many, many years. You know that, Maggie, you've covered him for a long time, long before he assumed this office when he was a businessman in New York. The president did not write that letter. He did not sign those documents. He maintains that position, and that position will be argued in court by his lawyers. The president is very confident he is going to win this case.
He's taking him to court.
Thank you. Is the president
Fake
planning
signature.
to meet with Eric Adams in New York, maybe at the Yankees game? And has he personally talked to him about the race?
I am not tracking any meeting with Mayor Adams at this time, but if that happens, I'm sure the New York Post will be one of the first people to know about it. I'll take a couple more questions. Why don't we go to the back?
Tom Dempsey with News Nation. Regarding the growing U.S. military
News
presence,
Nation, all the way in the back.
regarding the U.S. military, the growing U.S. military presence in the Caribbean, when asked directly about possible future military action, President Trump responded, "You're going to find out." What can the U.S. public expect of that situation moving forward? And
Good
what sort
question.
of
Okay.
ongoing threat does Trendeo Agra?
I think it would be very unwise of me to preview what the president meant from this podium. But I think what the heart of what the president was saying, I know what the heart of what the president was saying and this administration believes, is that the regime in Venezuela is illegitimate. And it is unacceptable to this president and this administration to traffic illegal, deadly drugs into the United States of America.
That's right.
And that's why the president and the administration took very strong action against a boat and 11 narco-terrorists in international waters, as you all saw. I think that sends a very strong message to drug traffickers around the world. The president will not tolerate it, and the amount of drugs on that boat represents the lives of thousands of Americans that could have been killed by that deadly poison, and we're not going to allow that deadly poison to come into our country. The president will be signing a proclamation in the Oval Office later this afternoon, and we will see you all later. Thank you.
What is the Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the big question of the day. What is the proclamation going to be? In about 2.5 hours, President Trump is going to have a special we've never seen anything like this before. 2.5 hours from now, Trump is going to go live in front of the White House press corps in the Oval Office, and he'll be signing a proclamation relating to what? Regarding what? I don't know. However, she does bring that up. Carolyn Levitt just now brought up. She mentioned this proclamation right on the back end of talking about Venezuela. That was her closing statement. Venezuela, Venezuela. Also, Trump has a proclamation today, a very special proclamation. Are we going to war with Venezuela? Are we going to start bombing? I don't know. So we are going to talk about that. I will be live for that proclamation later today. Now, folks, that's going to be a wrap for Carolyn Levitt's press conference today. Like I said, though, I want to just quickly say a couple things about this whole situation with Irina, this woman who was brutally stabbed to death. We have a new image that got released actually during this broadcast. This is a brand new image that has just hit the internet as of about 20 minutes ago. This was her final moment on this earth, just seconds before she was stabbed in the throat and brutally murdered by this criminal thug, violent career criminal, mentally ill thug. Terrible. Just absolutely terrible. Now, President Trump himself actually released a statement regarding this exact situation also moments ago during this press conference. It's 2 minutes long. President Trump denounces senseless crime in Democrat-run cities and the horrific murder of a young woman in Charlotte. This is from Trump just moments ago. Take a look.
For far too long, Americans have been forced to put up with Democrat-run cities that set loose savage, bloodthirsty criminals to prey on innocent people. Really very, very innocent people.
Yep.
In every place, they control radical left judges, politicians, and activists, and they've adopted a policy of catch and release for thugs and killers.
Yep.
In Charlotte, North Carolina, we saw the results of these policies when a 23-year-old woman who came here from Ukraine met her bloody end on a public train. And here's a picture of it. This is the picture of it. And this is a picture of the woman, a beautiful young girl that...
Now, I've seen a couple people in the live chat. I'm going to pause real quick. I've seen some people, I have to just say, you are so stupid if you have this opinion. And the opinion is this. Well, why should I care about a Ukrainian immigrant? She's just some Ukrainian immigrant. She's not even an American citizen. Why should I care about this? Maybe because beautiful young white women in the prime of their life, she's trying to come home from work after a long day, are getting stabbed in the throat by violent, black, brutal, murderous career criminals. Maybe it's because I don't want that in my... Hey, here's my controversial opinion. I don't think that young white women who are 22 years old in the prime of their life, who have just gotten done with a long day at work, should have to worry about getting gutted on a subway train car when they're trying to come home by a brutal career criminal black thug, okay? Because I live in this society. Listen, I have a white daughter. I have a white wife. I have a white mother. I've got white cousins who are women. I don't want any of them being stabbed. The fact that she was a young Ukrainian woman who's an immigrant or a refugee here actually doesn't matter at all. The fact she's a white woman, she was killed because she is a white woman. The thug said so as much. He said moments after killing her, he said, I got that white woman. I killed that white woman. I got that white woman, is what he said. We have the audio. We have the video and audio of that. We know he gutted her. He slit her throat in cold blood for no reason, totally unprovoked, like a violent animal, because she's a white woman. I have a white daughter. I might have more someday. My wife is a beautiful white woman. My mother, my cousins, okay? I don't want young, beautiful white women getting gutted like animals by other violent animals on public transportation in this country. Well, she's a Ukrainian immigrant. Who really cares? Hey, dumbass, do you not realize that the point is that it could be your daughter, it could be your wife, it could be your mother, your cousin, your sister? Do you not, like, are you not capable of piecing this together? How stupid are you? Anyway, President Trump, take it away.
Never had problems in life. With a magnificent future in this country. And now she's dead. She was slaughtered by a deranged monster who was roaming free after 14 prior arrests. We cannot allow a depraved criminal element of violent repeat offenders to continue spreading destruction and death throughout our country. We have to respond with force and strength. We have to be vicious just like they are. It's the only thing they understand. 24 of the top 25 most dangerous cities in America are run by Democrat mayors. 50 people were murdered in Chicago in recent weeks, with hundreds being shot. And it's time to stop this madness. The people of our country need to insist on protection, safety, law, and order. We have proven that it can be done because we did it right here in D.C., in District of Columbia. The capital of America was a bloodthirsty, horrible, dangerous place, one of the worst. And now it's a crime-free city, and we're going to keep it that way. It can be done. It can happen fast. All we want is, please, Mr. President, we need help. Chicago needs help. Other cities need help. We'll do what has to be done because we're going to make America safe again, and that includes our big cities. We're going to make those cities safe. Thank you.
Oh, I'm muted. I apologize. I was going off. I need to restart that. Sorry. What I was saying, let me rewind here, is that I am getting a little bit sick and tired of being told that I ought not notice race. Never notice race. Don't talk about race. You need to be racially blind. It's a little bit difficult to do that when starting at about age 6, I'm 31 years old now. For my entire life, for the last 30 years, I have been told that as a white man, I am uniquely and solely responsible for pretty much every single problem around the entire world. Are we still muted? There's no way we're still muted. Am I still muted? I am not muted. No, I'm not. You guys are tripping me out here. Am I good? Okay, everybody go ahead and post the number 15 in the live chat. Post the number 15. You hear me? I have sound. We're good? Okay. Listen, I have been told that by nature of being a white man for my entire life that I am pretty much Satan incarnate, that white men just like me are responsible for every single problem and ill and woe around the entire world. So I most certainly have been told that race is important insofar as white people are bad, that white men are bad. Beyond that, you can't help but notice that 13% of the United States population is committing over 50% of the crime. 13% of these are black men. 13% of the population, actually it's really 7% because it's really not the women so much. 7% of the population in this country is committing over half of the crime in the country. You can't help but notice that. That is a problem. How about rather than telling white people like me that they should stop noticing race, how about we tell black people that they should stop committing crime? That seems like a better approach to this problem. Listen, if you are a noble, just, normal, regular black guy, you need to start holding your community accountable. You need to say, listen, hey, fellow black men, we need to stop senselessly killing people and shooting each other and joining gangs. Okay? Black crime is the problem, not white people being aware of black crime. The fact that I am aware of black crime is not the problem. The problem is the black crime. Like, hello, can we stop living in this delusion? It's getting a little bit out of control. Even Fox News last night is talking about this.
Now, why would that be? Why would one story demand 100 articles and another story 0 articles? And it's because the media is more interested in the all capitals story, the narrative, than the facts or the truth. Take a look at the difference here. I want to show you the actual truth. When it comes to crime, the story is about race.
It is.
Race. Take a look at the black on white crimes, 385,000 in 2023. The white on black crimes, just under 118.
So just to put this into perspective, there are almost 4 times as many black on white crimes as there are white on black crimes. Almost 4 times as many every single year, despite there being 5 times more white people in the country than black people. Yeah, this is a problem, and acknowledging this problem does not mean you are a racist or that you hate black people or that you're like in favor of slavery or something. It's like, no, listen, if we want to solve a problem, the first thing we need to do is acknowledge the problem. It's not even conceivably possible to solve an issue if you don't even acknowledge the issue in the first place. This is an issue. Here's another fun fact. 1 out of every 3 black men in the country right now is a felon. Did you know that? That's like, it blew my mind when I learned this. 33% of adult black men in this country are convicted felons. 1 out of every 3. That is an issue. That is a problem. That is a massive problem. This problem needs to be acknowledged and it needs to be addressed.
You see the comparative numerical difference. But now here's what the media actually does. They did what our camera operator just began to do a moment ago. I'm going to step out of the way. I'm going to show you literally what the media does with a camera. They zoom in on this number.
Yeah.
This number, devoid of context. Now, why would that?
It is astounding. Now, Stephen Miller went off here last night talking about this arena situation. I want to go ahead and play this. That stat is incorrect. No, it's not. No, it is not. This is Stephen Miller last night.
The Democrat Party, Sean, is terrorizing the American people. Just think about what is happening in our major cities, the bloodbaths every single weekend. One victim after another, one shooting after another, one murder after another. When you have Democrat politicians like Pritzker and Newsom that are freeing illegal alien pedophiles, illegal alien child abductors, illegal alien murderers back into our streets to kidnap people, to beat them senseless, to stab them and shoot them to death, this is terrorism being waged against the American people. And then you look at that video that chills our very souls out of Charlotte, that beautiful young woman stabbed to death, murdered savagely on a subway, just trying to get home from work, fleeing war.
But Stephen Miller, she's a Ukrainian refugee, so it doesn't matter. Well, hold up, wait a minute. Stephen Miller, she's from Ukraine, so who cares? Of course, I'm joking here. I can't even fathom being so heartless, being so evil, being so cruel, being so fundamentally stupid that you say, well, actually, it doesn't matter that this woman was slit in the throat after a long day at work in our country on American soil on an American subway because she's an immigrant. It doesn't matter. Who cares? What in the how rotten is your soul? Seriously, go to church. How rotten is your soul that you think the brutal, cold-blooded murder of this woman on this American subway doesn't matter because she's a Ukrainian refugee? How evil are you to not give a shit about this?
Only to run into a Democrat war zone here in our country. That monster, 14 prior arrests in and out. The Democrat policies of catch and release for barbarians and savages is truly an act of terror, Sean, against the American people. It cannot be explained unless you deeply, fundamentally hate America.
We should not need to live like this. In this country, in America, we should not be forced to live like this. Yet the reality exists that this is how many people in America are forced to live. They're forced to live this way. They're forced to live around this type of behavior, around this type of just psychopathic criminal behavior. It's disgusting. And of course, like he says, the radical progressives have turned a blind eye to it. They have enabled it. You guys know my favorite phrase is, you get what you tolerate. You want to know why? See this image here? I want you to burn this into your brain because this is what's going on across the entire country. For decades, the reason why this is happening is because we as a nation have tolerated this happening. This type of behavior, this comment in the chat that really triggered me. I'm triggered. You got me. This comment, well, it doesn't matter because she's an immigrant. Listen, that mindset, that mindset of weakness has resulted causally, directly in the death of her and the death of many other people just like her all across this country. Well, it doesn't matter. How does it personally impact you? I live in Idaho right now. How does it personally impact me if young, beautiful white women are getting slaughtered on subway systems halfway across the country? It doesn't personally impact me. Pardon my language here, give me a fucking break. How rotten is your soul to the core? Terrible. Reprehensible. Really. There's actually this iconic meme that I'm going to share. This in the back, this is this iconic painting. It's of Rome as it's falling. The buildings are on fire. The Romans are dying. Rome is falling apart. It's crumbling. And then you have this guy. But how does this affect you personally? How does it affect you if young white women are getting slaughtered on the subway system? How does it affect you if Antifa has taken over Portland? How does it impact you if Latin American gangs have taken over Southern California? How does it personally impact you? How does it impact you if 100,000 Americans are overdosing on fentanyl every single year? How does it impact you if black thug gangs have taken over Chicago? It's like, dude, how bad do things have to get in this country before you realize we are going to lose the country? We are going to lose the country if you idiots, not all of you, some of you, if you idiots don't wake up and realize, yeah, it does impact you. And if it doesn't impact you, maybe it's going to impact your friend or your brother or your cousin or your sister or your child someday. If you're not man enough to solve these problems, you are condemning your son to solve these problems 20 years from now. Your inaction is making the situation worse. And if you're not man enough to step up and solve the problems, somebody else is going to have to do it because you were too much of a wussy. It's going to say another word, of a wussy to solve it yourself. Okay. As they say, weak men create hard times. Thank God, as the cycle goes, hard times create strong men. We've had enough of the weak men. We've had enough of the weak men creating bad times. We are in the bad times. We had an entire generation of weak men put us in the situation we are in now. Now that we are in the middle of the bad times, and if you want to see, if you want a perfect, iconic image of what bad times look like, this is it. Sear this image into your brain. I'm frothing at the mouth right now. This is what happens when weak men run the country. These are the bad times. You want an image of bad times? That's what this is. Now we need strong men to pull us out of the bad times and saying, how does it impact you? It doesn't really impact you personally, though, does it? It wasn't me getting stabbed in the neck, so like, why do I care? Your day is done. The era of the weak man is done. Enter the strong man. We need strong men to pull us out of these bad times that some of you guys have put us in. There was just specifically one person in the chat that really got me going here, so I apologize. But listen, folks, I can't even fathom being so rotten to the core. Your soul is rotten if you look at this image and say, well, it doesn't really impact me, so whatever, it's not that big of a deal. Now, we have some super chats here I want to take a look at. Raya, $49.99, super chat in YouTube. Thank you. Thank you very much. Says, thank you, Matt. Thank you for speaking up. The Truth Best channel. We got to stop tap dancing around these issues. Listen, black crime is a problem. One out of every 3 black men in the country is a convicted felon. That is a problem. Black culture has gotten just completely deranged. Okay, with the drugs and the rap music and the glorification of violence. It is a problem. Okay, and by the way, once again, acknowledging these problems does not mean that you hate black people. No, in fact, really acknowledging these problems is an expression of love. It's saying, hey, black community, I love you. I expect more from you. We need to help you get back on track. Allowing the black community to become a degenerate cesspit of violence and gang violence and whatever, that really is an expression of hate. Really, acknowledging these problems and saying, listen, we want to solve these problems. That is the most loving thing you can do to hold them to a higher standard. Say, listen, this is unacceptable. We're going to help you get back on track. Thank you, Raya. Again, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Joe Stu, that is a $100 super chat. He says, thank you. That's a big one. Raya also. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The time has come. We need to actually talk about the problems. We need to be adults. We got to put our adult pants on. You know, we need to actually acknowledge what the issues are if we want to solve the issues. For generations, Americans have had their heads buried in the sand. Okay, we got to wake up and say, this is an issue. The issue needs to be solved. Point blank. No more tap dancing around the problems here. There's a big issue here. Kay Koenig, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you a lot. We're going off a little bit crazy today. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Theron, longtime viewer, thank you very much, says, the other wild thing is that there are 3 other normal black citizens in that picture. The justice system is an accomplice in this murder by letting this guy walk away after 14 arrests. This guy should have been handled a long time ago. This guy has been a violent criminal since 2007. We did a deep dive on this individual's history. This guy has been brutalizing his fellow Americans, assaulting, attacking, abusing since 2007, 18 years. Why is a man who has been brutalizing his fellow Americans for 18 years allowed to ride on the subway or public transportation like this, at which point he stabs this beautiful young woman right in the face? Guts are like an animal. It is sickening. These 3 individuals over here, they had nothing to say about it. Had nothing to say about it. I don't know. This girl looks like my cousin. Like, seriously, I've got a daughter who could grow up someday to look just like her. How do you not look at this? Listen, I'm just gonna take off the mask. Hey, white people, let's have a talk here for a second. How do you look at this and say, oh, not that big of a deal? Hey, white people, you've got a daughter or a wife or a sister or an aunt or a mother or a grandmother that looked or looks like this. How do you look at this and say, not that big of a deal? Whatever. It's somebody else's problem. No, it's not. No, it's not. It just as easily could have been you or your sister or your mother or whatever. The fact that this was her and not your sister, just sheer coincidence. Totally could have been. It might, in fact, it might be next time. Maybe next time it is. Then are you going to realize, yeah, we have a fucking problem? How many more innocent people need to be killed like this before we say we have an issue? Right? It's time. Wake up. Okay, this is a problem. And the first step to solving the problem is acknowledging what the problem is. What is the problem? Black violence. Okay, and I don't say this because I hate black people. I say this because I love black people and I want to hold them to a higher standard. We have a problem. There is very clearly a problem. Let's just be adults about this. Okay, now, folks, this is where we are. I am going to wrap up today's broadcast. We got a little bit off on the weeds here on the second half of today's show. So, hey, thank you all for bearing with me. I appreciate that. I am going to wrap up. Listen, guys, I'm going to go away for 2 hours. In 2 hours or so, I'm going to come back. We're going to do another live broadcast because President Trump is going live. President Trump is going to be talking to the nation. He's going to be issuing a proclamation in the Oval Office. And nobody knows what the proclamation is. I would suspect it has to do with Venezuela. Maybe some military action being taken place in Venezuela later today. So in 2 hours or so, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go get lunch. I'm going to come back. I'm going to do another live broadcast, and we're going to talk about that. So everybody come back, I don't know, in 2 hours or so, something like that. We're going to do round 2, another live show, 2 in the same day. It's insane. So thank you, folks, for tuning in. I really appreciate it. We went a little bit crazy today. I appreciate it, folks. Everybody post a heart in the chat. We have the best community. I really do love you guys. Thank you very much. God bless everybody here. And I'm going to get a little snack, and I'm going to come back in a couple hours. We're going to do it again. So thank you, folks. Sincerely, genuinely, thank you for everybody that stuck around for my tangent, for my monologue there. I appreciate it. Really, I do. And by the way, everything that I say, everything I have to say, I'm saying out of love for the people in this country and for the country itself. But at a certain point, listen, you gotta grow up and actually acknowledge the problems that are happening in the country in order to solve them. So thank you all. Thank you very much. And I'll see you folks in a couple hours here, and we're going to do it again. So make sure to follow, like, and subscribe. We're on Rumble, Matt Morris TV, YouTube, Matt Morris TV. And I'll see you folks very soon. Take care.